4D TV, Hollywood Studios, 4D, the number 4D TV. You might want to subscribe to the channel. So in the future, whenever we go live, we will be going live here. 4D TV. It is up and running right now. I'm gonna keep the page open. So if you have any comments, any questions, the live chat is up and running in Hollywood Studios. Y'all know what to do. Y'all know how this works. You got any comments, any questions, by all means, leave it in the chat. What we're going to talk about here is something called Camp Quarantine. Not a regular Camp Quarantine. Not the tail following what everybody else doing. We're talking about being the head and not the tail. Being the head and not the tail. And I ain't the preacher in the family. But my daddy the preacher in the family. I'm just the child that has been trained up in the way that they should go. I'm not the preacher. I ain't never professed to be no preacher. I ain't trying to be no preacher. When the Most High called me to do the work that I do, it had nothing to do with preaching. But one thing that I will not tolerate, one thing that I will not let slide is deception. It's lies. It's false prophets. What I will not tolerate under no circumstance is lying lips, which are an abomination to the Lord. Once again, I'm just a child that been trained up in the way that they should go. And when you've been taught not to accept counterfeits and lies, then it don't matter who stand with you. It don't matter who afraid to. And what this supernatural camp quarantine is about is giving our people who may not have had that training in the past the courage to make that same stand, if that's what you want for your children. All this is about, see, we don't take for granted. We don't take for granted. As a matter of fact, it's above that. We're grateful. We're grateful for being exposed to what we was exposed to. And we know that everybody does not have the opportunity to be exposed to what we've been exposed to. So the only way to show true gratefulness is to do the extraordinary and make sure that those who did not get access to the things you got access to gets access. That's the Father's business model. So when he talks about when you've done it unto the least of these, my brethren, his business model is everybody's not going to get the narrow way training and upbringing, and everybody is not going to get that. but everybody's supposed to get access to it. How does that work? Those who get access to it, he commanded, you give them to eat. Nobody gets to starve. He said, I own the cattle on 1,000 hills. The cattle on 1,000 hills are mine. And if you get to eat, if you got to ride upon the high places of the earth, then out of honor and respect and gratefulness and thankfulness, you give them to eat who ain't riding on the high places of the earth, who are starving, who are lost, who have been abandoned and left for dead, who have been abused. This is the Good Samaritan. This is the command of the Good Samaritan. Anybody with extra to others, and you eating, and then you stepping over those who have been abused, like the spiritual leaders that he talked about in the joint. He exposed that the spiritual leaders who were getting acknowledged as the spiritual leaders were not in line with his plan and were not following his earthly service model. This is what the creator of heaven and earth said out of his own mouth. This is the rebuke that he put out there about spiritual leaders. And for spiritual leaders in our day to come, it's one thing that they got that off in their day because the Messiah hadn't come. I don't know how in the world y'all think that y'all gonna go and claim y'all going into the service after we've seen the Father's business model. How in the world? How in the world do y'all think that y'all gonna get it off? The Hebrews had to imagine what? Everything in the word, because the Messiah had not come. We don't have to imagine how he would respond to spiritual leaders of the day, walking around, passing over those who have been abused, rejected, downtrodden. We don't have to imagine. He said how he feels about it. We do not have to imagine how he feels about any of the issues that you face here because he spoke on all of them. And I don't know who is the bigger fool, the spiritual leaders of the day or the people following the spiritual leaders of the day. I don't know. But we don't fall into either of those categories. And the reason we speak about the Good Samaritan parable is because when we're talking about Oakwood University and we're talking about administrators who have been entrusted with the priceless gift of the kingdom, which are our children, who he said would lead. You all are preparing to elect another dang near 80-year-old king of the earth. And the Most High God said the kings of the earth in the last days will weep and moan because they are dedicated in the service to Mystery Babylon, and he is going to burn down Mystery Babylon, Revelation 18. And he said, the kings of the earth will stand afar off. But he said, a little child will lead them. You got the wrong political model. You got the wrong spiritual model. The children of Israel in his day were looking for God's kingdom on earth to come. And in our day, He has given us permission to not prepare for doomsday. They ain't running around here, got you enslaved financially, poor, starving, and they're preparing for doomsday. And it don't matter what bunker they build. It don't matter how far down underneath the ground they go. It doesn't matter how much they store up, how much, listen. And the people who are supposed to be preparing, not for doomsday, but for the kingdom, the people who are supposed to be building God's wedding party on earth are lost and tossed to and fro. The people who have permission to build God's kingdom on earth. Because once his kingdom is built on earth, he's going to come back and pick up that kingdom and take them to the heavenly kingdom. The people who's supposed to be building the kingdom, and then he gave you the blueprint. He said, for those of y'all who want to get to the kingdom, you need to become like one of these little children. He put the child in front of him. Is the United States, is Leslie Pollard and what they doing in their spiritual movement. Leslie Pollard is not the leader of Oakwood. The students that we sent there are the spiritual leaders that are sent there in his trust to build them up so that they can take the world across the finish line. And because these cats are in the same position that the spiritual leaders who killed that Messiah, hung him on a cross, the spiritual leaders of today had to be rebuked. Suffer the little children to come unto me and forbid them not. And once again, we have spiritual leaders of the day forbidding the kingdom from being built by forbidding the children to get access to the water of life, forbidding the children to get to the well and have the woman of the well experience. The only thing that's supposed to happen at Oakwood University is the children are supposed to go to Oakwood and they're supposed to have a woman at the well experience, whether they a prostitute, whether they walk in the straight and narrow, whether they Joseph. It doesn't matter where they are in the spiritual spectrum. Every single last one of them is supposed to go. Whether they Paul on the Damascus road, they supposed to go to Oakwood and have a burning bush experience like Moses had and receive the call to lead whatever group of individuals on earth based off of the model that got finished when them going and having that Hollywood experience in the sanctuary, the holy ground. And not a faculty member, not a staff member. Every adult should have already had this experience in their life. Every adult on that campus should be locked into guaranteeing and making sure that the next generation of the kingdom, because their day has already set. Pollard, your day set. You wasn't cream of the crop in 1976. Their problem is because they are mediocre at best. Now because some organization, the General Conference of Seventh-day Adventists, or some board that don't know how to hire at Oakwood, has gotten fooled to believe that you cream of the crop. Now these individuals think that it's their day in the sun. King David, the man after God's own heart, told the people to bring in 40,000 30-year-olds. He divided 40,000 30-year-olds into 4 different groups. 10, 10, 10, 10. He ain't divide them evenly like that, but I'm just using it as an example. They presented him with 40,000 30-year-olds. So by the time our children go through undergraduate, they do 4 years of undergraduate. Then let's say they go on to postgraduate studies and do another 3 years, 4 years, depending on what they're doing. By the time your child get out of college, they supposed to be married. They supposed to be, the most important thing to the kingdom of heaven is children who are consecrated as first fruits presented to the Heavenly Father. He don't care nothing about y'all desires and y'all professions. He said the children are the kingdom. The little child shall lead my people to me. That's who I'm coming back for. And a professional with a PhD who is running around here, got all this bread and all that, childless, bouncing around here, prostituting. You heard the stories just like I would have heard of Pollard and his people and the faculty members. You done heard the stories of how them dudes is sleeping around, and listen, they got wives and how they sleeping with students. And y'all done heard the stories like I done heard the stories. And if y'all didn't, y'all need to listen. Y'all need to have y'all ears to the streets. Listen, I'm not sending my children nowhere. I ain't about to send my children to no institution and not know what's going on at the institution. You crazy? I'm not turning my children over to nobody and not going to investigate. I ain't trusting nobody. And you're a fool if you take a position. You're a fool if you come to an organization that's claiming to be the remnant, and just the chance and the fact of the matter that you could have individuals who believe they training up the next Elijah. You're a fool for coming into an organization that has been built on being the remnant. And just because you and the masses ain't on that, just the very possibility that there could be people like Hannah, who still in 2020 or still in 1996 in Huntsville, Alabama, went to the Most High God and said, if you give me children in this marriage that were consummated here in Huntsville, Alabama at Oakwood University, I'm talking about my wife, my bride. If you give me children as a student of Oakwood University who has just got married, I ain't get pregnant first. We chose to start this family. We chose to enter into a covenant with the Most High God and say, if you give us children, we will give them back to you. You a fool for thinking you could treat an institution that was founded on principles of being the remnant of the Most High God. It don't matter that all y'all clowns is New Age Christian. It don't matter. You ain't the foundation. You ain't the root. And just the fact that the root testifies against the New Age, you a fool for thinking that you could treat the root like a HSBCU that got Alex Haley's roots. This ain't Kunta Kinte. Before Kunta Kinte, I was. Alex Haley roots don't mean nothing over here. Shaka Zulu and the Zulu Nation don't mean nothing over here. Absolutely nothing. Y'all impressed by Frederick Douglass. Frederick Douglass longed to see my day. You impressed by Frederick Douglass. Frederick who? Frederick who? How are you impressed with Frederick Douglass? If there's individuals during his time who put themselves in position when God fulfilled Matthew chapter 24, and he rained down stars from heaven. Frederick Douglass had to testify. I've been an abolitionist, but somewhere I read that God was going to have a dark day and he was going to rain down the stars from heaven. And Frederick Douglass had to testify, yo, I'm out of order. I'm chasing being a nothing civil rights leader in a fake Black history movement, when I should be putting myself in position to receive the final revelations during the last days of Noah. I'm out of order. And y'all clowns came up. All of y'all faculty members and all of y'all came up under individuals who claim that they celebrated the fact that they was in the right position while all of these other clowns had access to word of God without persecution, only place in the world. What's up, sis? What's up, sis? Is it asking for a password? All right, hold on. Yes, I'm on. I'm gonna go into the back office. I'm gonna shoot you the password, and then I thought once you registered in your email, it was gonna send it to you. Hold on. I'm gonna get it to you. Man, I'm gonna have to text it to you. You're gonna have to send it to everybody you sent the link to, and I'm gonna do the same thing because they all gonna need it. Yeah, all right, so all right, pretty good. Okay, with meeting ID. I see the meeting ID. Where's the password at, yo? Able to join, host. Leave this in, join now. Yeah, probably because I'm hosting it, but I'm looking in the join. All right, so you know what I'm gonna do? I'm about to send you a link that doesn't have a password on it, and that you could just click and join it. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna send it to you. We're gonna send it in our emails, and we're gonna text it back out, and I'm gonna post it on Facebook, and it's just gonna be a meeting with no password that you could just click on and join. All right, so I'm gonna send it to you right now. All right, no problem. All right, our people trying to get in here, so I'm gonna end this. I'm gonna send out another link so everybody can just get right on. Y'all come back and check this out.